I remember.
A lot. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to start the WPCC annual meeting. My name is Dan Gary. I'm counsel for Ward 6 in the city of Willoughby, and I'm chair of the board here. Chair of the WPCC in Willoughby. And I'd like to just go around the room and introduce everybody. Go ahead. McLaughlin Verdanza.
As Freshman Verdanza.
Tim Lyman Verdanza, Willoughby City Engineer.
Mike Cummings, City Lake Council at Large.
Todd Dillon, East Lake City Council, Ward 1.
Danielle Zelenik, Council Ward 4.
Ann Borchman, East Lake Council at Large. Chris Ryan, Council at Large, City of East Lake.
Jack Corca, Superintendent WPCC.
Michael Gross, Assistant Superintendent, WPCC.
Rich Polistano, Service Director, City of Willoughby.
Mike Murhart, Willoughby City Council, Ward 1.
Very good. And with that all done, I would like to pass it over to Mr. Jack Corson. All yours, sir.
Yeah, tonight, usually I do the executive summary, but tonight, Mike Brooks, that we was here last year, we were in the audience, but, he's gonna do the executive summary, because at some point, all this thing said, my tenure is getting smaller, so we'll get the new guy, get his feet wet, and I'm sure he's prepared.
Absolutely. I found out today about 11 o'clock. We're good to go. Just want to start by saying thank you for everyone being here tonight. I'm excited to share our annual summary of the WPCC with you guys. I'm going to try to take a credit this from Jack and try to carry his torch that he's done very well in the years that I've been here in attendance. I feel that I share the same passion for what we do, which is provide clean, safe, and affordable wastewater treatment for over 42,000 residents here in your guys' communities. In Jack fashion, I'll dive right into the executive summary. To start off, the WPCC continued to operate within our National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, also known as our NPDES permit. We only had 2 minor violations in this past year, with 365 days of operation, and they were for a concentration of chlorine in our effluent. Our permit limit is 0.038, and we tested at 0.04. So a very, very small margin there, which is almost about the air of the years that we use. So again, it was a fantastic year with meeting our permit the entire year. Next up we got is the average daily flow was 5.956 million, which is actually down about 10% from what we were last year. And an average from our plant from 1988 until about now. As you guys remember, it was kind of a dry, drought-filled season, so we were definitely down the flow a little bit this past year. One big thing that we're very excited about is back in 2020, we completed our capacity enhancement project, which utilized some tanks within our facility that were no longer being utilized for average daily processes. We repurposed those into internal storage, and that became our capacity enhancement project, which, although it was a dry year, we're very excited to say that we had 0 bypasses last year in Lake Erie. And with the advantage of our capacity enhancement, we had 8 events where we were above what we could take into the plant and then store it internally. And we actually were able to store 12.446 million gallons that would have wound up in Lake Erie untreated. But we were able to store that internally and then treat it once it was recycled. Next up, we'll go into our biosolids. So back in 2022, we switched over to hauling our own sludge. And this was something out of a cost savings measure. You'll hear me talk a few times tonight about how over the top we can be with how much work that we tackle at the plant. I'm not trying to put any other facilities down at all, but we definitely go above and beyond to make sure that we are giving our ratepayers the best bang for their buck. So back in 2022, we switched over and purchased our own tractor and trailer with a hydraulic dumping trailer and started hauling our own biosolids to the Lake County landfill. We were able to $257,000 versus what the contracts were that we were offered in 22 when we were putting this out to bid. So I think Jack passed out to you guys the savings that we've had since inception on this, and it's definitely been something that came with challenges. It was a very difficult time to purchase these vehicles, and since then, since 2022, we have actually purchased a brand new truck that is outfitted for us hauling in our landfill. Our first truck, we were kind of stuck buying used vehicles on the spot, and we since were able to sell that through an auction that Rich helped facilitate, and we were able to get $1,000 back from that purchase, which then went back into our fund. And at this point, we would like to purchase a second dump trailer because we run into situations and problems where we test high for radiation. And it may sound scary, but it's a very, very low threshold that they stop us at the Lake County landfill for. So it's no risk to anybody's health, but nonetheless, it still stops us from processing. And there's about a 3 to 5 day half-life of the radiation. And we had Lake County radiation experts out on the plant to test it the first time it came up, because we were very unsure what this actually was. And without getting too far into details, it's people that have cancer and their treatments. It winds up in the sanitary sewer system, it winds up in our sludge tanks, and then it gets processed through our press, and winds up in the landfill. They have on-site detectors that will pick up any sort of level of radiation. They tell us, no, you can't come in, you have to go sit down. So that puts us parking our trailer, not being able to use it, not being able to process. And it never fails that this will always occur in the middle of summer. We need to run continuously just because things don't settle very well when it's 85 degrees. So with the purchase of the second trailer, this will free us up to be able to not only in good times run a more continuous schedule and get sludge out and get ahead of sludge, but it will bail us out when we're in situations where we have radiation.
Is that trailer that gets dumped somewhere else then?
No, we just have to sit on it. We bring it back to the plant and we park it, and we'll wait 24 hours, 48 hours. Yeah, and then we'll try taking it back. We can kind of judge based on the level that they tell us. We've had times where we'll run it in the morning and we'll get sent back for a hot load, as they call it, and then by the afternoon we can get in. So it just kind of depends on the concentration of radiation, but we had one instance this past August that was about 3 days. It took for us to be able to get it into the landfill. So that's very troublesome for us to work around. We actually, if you see in there's Ohio Bulk Transport. They came in with their trailer. They're kind of our bailout plan. They were able to come in, put their trailer underneath our system, build a trailer, and then haul it out from there. So that's kind of our backup. But rather than relying on somebody else, just with the cost savings that we're generating with this, having a second trailer, we feel will be a really good advantage for us as well. We're going to discontinue our dumpster service at the plant for all of our grit or rags or just general garbage that we produce. We're going to put it in the spare trailer, and that up there will save us about $9,000 to $12,000 a year just in waste management, pulling their dumpster in and out of the city. Next up, we'll go over a little bit about our ammonia reduction. So the MPTES permit that we kind of discussed there, they put limits to us, or told us that we needed to reduce our ammonia concentration by 25%. And we determined that our plant will nitrify under the correct conditions that we can try to produce. I'll get to Matt here shortly with pre-treat, but Matt Jarowski has done a fantastic job in doing the research and the legwork into showing us and explaining to us the best way we can keep our plant into this nitrifying, because the nitrifying actually chews up the ammonia and lowers our effluent limits, or our effluent concentrations of ammonia. So based on our baseline that we had going, we knew that we needed to be below an 8.0 in order to meet this 25% reduction that the EPA was requiring of us. And looking at some different time frames there, in winter periods, in summer periods, in winter time, the nitrifying bacteria doesn't like the cold, so we don't get as good of a nitrifying in the winter time. It's a more difficult for us, but in the summertime, we can do it very well. So in winter period, we were able to drop our concentration about 35.5% summertime, when we dry very well, we were able to get about 74% reduction from what our baseline was. So we're definitely meeting and exceeding what the EPA kind of set for us as their expectations for us. Next up, we'll go over some of these dates, and these are all part of our FDF permits. They told us that our permit is effective October 1st, 2020. They gave us the following deadlines: no later than December 31st, 2020, we shall initiate construction on the capacity announcement report, which subsequently became our capacity enhancement project, and that was completed in May 11th. So at the time, then no later than December 31st of 2021, we should have completed the construction of our capacity project, and that was substantial completion of the one in June 22nd, 2021. Follow that, we have no later than June 30th, 2021, we shall submit a approvable PTI permit to install for the Waverly Road Relief Sewer Phase 2. The PTI was submitted on June 1st at the time of getting there. Then no later than December 31st, 2022, we shall complete construction of the Waverly Relief Phase 2 project. This was substantially completed on October 25th, 2023, as scheduled there as well. For the next ones here, and they're going to two of them, I will actually toss this over to Tim McLaughlin, so he can kind of go over some more of the dates with our Lakeshore East EQ Basin project. That's something that's kind of been in the works for a few years here. I won't steal Tim's thunder. You can take that from there.
Thank you, Mike. So, just to get first, before we go through some of the dates, is where we are currently with the project as of today. Actually, tomorrow, the project does go out to the first day of advertisement. And we'll advertise for about 3.5 weeks, hoping on March 14th. So that project is finally at a point where we're getting ready for construction here over the next couple of years. A little looking back at some of the history of that project, obviously this has been on 2011, going back to 2011 SSCS. It was in the original permit schedule for this last MPDS permit cycle, and then recently we've been working with EPA to negotiate how that's going to factor into the next permit schedule. So we did ask for a permit modification. I believe it was granted officially, correct? Maybe not.
Getting closer.
Getting closer, yeah. But we're in constant contact with EPA, so they're aware of all the difficulties that we have with COVID and some of the inflated costs that comes to get to this point. So in terms of where we've been at for design and going into construction, we are on schedule now. So with that, so from some of the substantial deadlines and dates, we're actually going to have this project based in kind of 3 different structures. There'll be a substantial completion date 1, substantial completion date 2, and substantial completion date 3, which will be the final completion date. And I'll kind of explain how the nature of the project goes. So first, the 2020, September 30th, 2021 will be the first substantial completion date, which will be factored into the next permit schedule. That will be for the forcing, which is diverting from Plains Road down Forest Drive into the future tank. There will be a diversion structure there, as well as causing the existing forcing, and then there will be some work within the public right of way, where the 24 sewer that will eventually go into as well, the EQ basin. That will be completed now. The nature of reason for that, those improvements is that the 24 which always factored into this project. The plant, in order to give them more flexibility and more control over their flows during wet weather, not only do they want to manage this individual overflow at each island, but being able to divert some of the flow from Plains Road gives them immense extra capacity during an event that normally they wouldn't be able to control that. So being able to potentially factor that by pushing that during events where maybe the tank isn't filling, or other sections of the city are, depending on how the rainfall and how the system interacts, it'll help reduce issues in overflow at the plant, and also control that section of the system. So that's where that's the first set of improvements that will go into this project. Then the next substantial completion date is October 1st, 2026. That's the big part of the project, which is the actual tank. So we evaluated a lot of different options with the tank. Quentin Road, I think, was when we initially got authorized for this. That was a very successful highly functional tank, and that's offered. Yeah, and Mike probably speak good. How often has it been filled? Only a few times, but when it has, it's basically done the job that it's intended to do. And from a construction design standpoint, that was our initial intent. But unfortunately, when we initially evaluated that, the prices for cast-in-place concrete structures was about 1.25 times any other alternative form of construction. So that's when we had to kind of change mode, completely change our design process, and kind of extended this into what we're going to do now, which is actually a pre-stressed concrete. So that'll be completely underground. You won't be able to see it except for a couple of patches and vents and things of that nature, along with the control building, which is compared to a tank, that's completely, but otherwise it's a completely submerged structure. The structure is about 25 feet deep, 100 feet in diameter, so it's going to be a big pit hole for about a year. Construction starting in early 2026, going into the end of October 1st, which is when that next completion date is required for EPA. And then the final completion date for this project is set to be around December 1st, 2026, which is when we'll do final restoration, which we will replace all Forest Drive, because that road is going to probably be torn up substantially. It's already kind of bad shape, quite frankly. That'll just be fully replaced. And then a section of Lake Shore, where we're doing the cut across for the forest and also resurfaced at that point. I think people are most interested in the cost. Current engineer's estimate officially is $11 million. The original estimate we started this back in 2022 was $7 million. So when we first shifted the cast-in-place structure a year and a half ago, I think we got authorized for engineering in 2023, it was around $9.5 million, and the rest of the other ones were $8 to $8.5 million. So it's just something we can't control. Seen it in every project, every city, municipality, county, of the state. So concrete and steel just continue to rise. It doesn't necessarily matter, but evaluating this still compared to the other options we looked at, which is post tension and cast-in-place structures, we're still probably in the $13 to $15 million range. So still, by that factor, it appears to be the most cost-effective design. But have to see what you get to see what the final cost is.
Perfect, thank you.
Jim, have you seen any similar projects? Are they coming in near your estimates, or?
Yeah, so working on another project actually, same actually load. It's a 7 million gallon, so scale wise, it's a much larger tank. Partially underground, partially above. It has some other factors into it as well, but it went from a $32 million cost, this is in Lakewood, for a PG tank, to actually $37 million just over a 8-month period from how we advanced the design from about 6 to 9%. So, yeah, no, there's not much else to say. It's just we saw that jump through COVID, and now we're seeing the same thing still now, unfortunately. Yeah, it's just unfortunate.
So I just throw the note in that at least we get the $3.5 million earmark, so that's going to offset some of that cost. And, bring whole project actual out-of-pocket cost for it, and we'll finance that. It's interesting that over like 3 years, there's pretty much inflation, we used up on the entire federal earmark.
Yeah, as unfortunate as it may be, it still is nice that we were able to obtain that earmark. I know that Tim ran in, Tim McLaughlin, and Jack were very happy with all the community members and the watershed in order to get this in front of the governor and obtain this earmark for us, which is a big benefit to all of us here in this situation.
Was that the earmark that Dave Joyce?
Yeah.
Was working on?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
All right, so jumping ahead a little bit from where Tim was at then. No later than December 31st, 2023, we had to submit a post-construction monitoring plan. This was relative to our capacity enhancement project, and we were very excited with the results that we obtained from that, and very happy to send those to the EPA with our results of how much water we were able to store and subsequently not bypass. Next up, June 30th of each year, we have to submit an annual progress report on our wet weather projects, and we continue to be very diligent with that. we submitted our fourth report on June 28th of 2024. Next up, we'll talk about our satellite sewer discharge control program, known as our SSDCP. This is a satellite community program for all of the East Lake, and it follows some basic essential elements of the documentation and implementation of sewer maintenance programs. The documentation of the satellite sewer system is operated under the supervision of a Class 2 certified operator's license for collection systems. The satellite communities must report water and maintenance, or WIDs, occurrences to us at the plant, and satellite communities must report all system overflows to us at the plant on each occurrence. Next up, I get to shine my light on Mr. Matt Jarofsky over here. In 2024, the Ohio EPA did not conduct a pre-treat compliance inspection, although they have in the past. And I have utmost confidence in Matt and the program that he runs at our facility, that we would have no problem meeting and exceeding any of their compliance inspections. Looking at pre-treat specifically, due to invoices, permit fees, inspections, sampling, equipment, lab tests, and extra strength waste surcharges, we had a cost of cost recovery, I should say, of $292,000. And this is a testament to Matt and the work that he and Alan Lane will do in the facility and in the whole collection system. They collected 849 samples in the year of 2024, and that only resulted in 4 violations, which is a true testament to the work that they do, not only in educating the industries and businesses in our communities, but helping them to achieve the levels of discharge that they need to meet our system program, our system levels that we need for them. Next up, I get to talk about my roots a little bit in our maintenance department. In 2024, routine preventative maintenance pretty much occupies the majority of our maintenance department's time. I left the role as the maintenance supervisor in June of 24. My successor, Mike Kukula, has done a really good job of stepping up and filling those shoes. And he's continuing to grow and digitize the maintenance department, which is a great thing for us. He's able to program certain radios and do troubleshooting of electrical equipment that a lot of other facilities would sub out and have companies come in, just keep them on contract and bring them in. But we do as much work on that as we can in-house, and Mike continues to take training, and he just recently went to a supervisor training seminar to become a better version of himself, and we always try to push that for all of our staff members. Some noteworthy things, one of our biggest projects we tackled in 2024 was the changeover of our radio system for our entire pump station collection system. And that was a big project, and Mike was able to tackle that and do a lot of the troubleshooting and programming through phone calls with the rep that we have through the company that we purchased the radios. And it's been a relatively seamless transition. We're working little kinks out of it, but Mike has done a really good job on maintaining the maintenance of the facility and really going above and beyond and working to save money where we can and do as much in-house as we can. On to our staff. This is not an easy one. We had 3 employees retire in 2024. We had 1 hire into our operations department. We had 1 transfer from maintenance to operations, and we had 1 transfer from the buildings grounds department of the city building down to the plant. The 2 gentlemen who we lost, I can't understate the value and experience they brought to us. There was about 60 years of wastewater experience that walked out the door December 31st of 2024. So those are big, tough shoes to fill, and it's an ongoing process for us to try to bring the rest of the crew up to speed with what they had when they left. Plant safety, we had another stellar year with that. We had no reported injuries in the year of 2024. Myself, we tried to provide as many trainings and real workers' comp library videos, so we do as many of those as we can. We fit them into schedules and them together and solve issues and problems that they may see. So next up, we have the rehabilitation of two underground tanks, which is Lake Shore West, which is right here in the front yard, and Dalton, which is on the corner of Euclid Avenue and Viner. Those are on hold right now. That was something 2018.
Yeah, I mentioned them just because they're always there. They're on the horizon, they need to be retrofitted with some sort of cleaning mechanism. There's mechanisms that are in there are no longer functioning. So at some point, we're gonna have to address it, but we are pretty busy with other things, so. We just mentioned them because hopefully we can find some money one day to do that, those projects.
Yeah, that might be a little bit above our maintenance team. As much as I tout them, rehabbing that EQ tank might be a little bit above what we do in-house. Next up, over here on Ruby Road, our EQ basin, we had seen in the recent history some events of where it actually would overflow, which is definitely not something that we want to see. Correlating it to our low flows that we had this past year, we were fortunate we did not have any SSOs, sanitary sewer overflows there at that EQ basin. This is something that we've discussed with Verdantis, our guys at Verdantis. And we don't have anything in the works at this point, but it's kind of like Jack said with our rehab of our other tanks. It's something that, we kind of keep in the back of our mind that this may be something that could come up in the future that we'll need to address. So budget time. Budget request for 2025, which is been submitted but not yet approved, is $4.652 million, and that's only 1.1% higher than our adopted budget of 2024. Our 2024 expenditures were about $300,000 less than what our adopted budget was, but it was 6.1% higher than what we actually spent in 2023, and we kind of correlate that to the general inflation, personnel changes that we've seen, and some of the capital projects that we tackled that year. Noteworthy, something that Jack is parked, I don't want to say parked in the wrong way, but he has definitely cemented it in my brain and in being in the office with him, is the debt service and the impact that that has on us. We try to be as proactive and take on as many projects as we can, but we also need to be cognizant that for 2025, we're going to be just shy of $700,000 for the year in debt service, with a total debt currently of 9.2, and that is not with the proposed project, I should say, soon to become project of our Lake Shore East Equalization Basin. Flow splits, our flow meters that we use for the 2024 operating and maintenance flow split. We review those with all the flow to create an accurate split, and with the help of our religious friends, we go and do quarterly calibrations to verify that all the meters are reading within also minus 5% error, so that we can have accurate splits when it comes to the Willoughby versus East Lake flow. The flows for this year, 2024, was 56.72 Willoughby and 43.28% East Lake. It's our recommendation that we continue to do this process, as it seems to be a very simple yet accurate way of splitting costs equally between the cities. Currently, there's 2 replacement projects and 1 new capital project in the design phase for 2024. The first one was a long time coming. I know Tim Land has worked on this for many, many years. I think it's 7 years in the making. Was the WPCC water main replacement project. And then the Jack went back and forth with the county and everybody to get this project finalized. But we're happy to say that in 2024 it was actually done. We have a new water line. That was a $500,000 project, and with the help of Verdantis, we were able to get an OPWC grant for $310,000. Next up was a project that is in-house for us. Very important piece of our process was replacement of our duct filter press. The Ashbrook that we replaced with a new machine went in 1993, and we just now replaced it in 2024. So 31 years of life out of piece of machinery. I call that a success. The awarded bid price for this was $500,000. $560,000. And, we are in the process of a startup on this. We are kind of performing performance tests at this point. So in the spec, they have a certain performance metrics that we have to meet in order to say that the machine's doing what they told us it would do. And also pointing to that we're going to be just fine with that. We're working through some kinks with it, but that's what we expect with any piece of equipment of that size. Again, Kansas WPCC grant for $200,000 for this project, and the revisions, the total price came to $634,000. I'll skip the next one there. That is our Lakeshore East equalization tank that Tim went into detail with you guys there. Where we wound up and what it's going to cost for us at this point. Next up, we have one request for replacement funds and for one new replacement project. This is a project that I started the wheels turning on while I was still in the maintenance department, and that is the St. Clair Pump Station bypass wall improvement project. Making a long story short for you, it started as a leaking pipe. So in our routine inspections of this pump station every month, we found a 16-inch pipe, not a small pipe by any stretch, but we found a leak. And based on the structure itself, it's not a very easily accessible structure. We had Tim out to the site to look at it, and even kind of had him scratching his head a little bit about how are we going to get this pipe out and replace this elbow that was leaking. So from there, it's kind of snowballed and grown into kind of an overhaul of the entire facility. And what we're planning on doing is we're currently constructing through our maintenance department an entire new electrical MCC, motor control center for this pump station. And I'll just throw some kudos to our maintenance department there. This is one of those things where, again, we could just call up an electrician that works on industrial equipment and tell them this is what we need. But we chose not to do that. We go out and we individually buy and source all of the cabinets, the parts, the starters, the disconnects, all the inputs of the cabinet, and then we will do the installation of it ourselves. We're also working on getting quotes for replacing 2 pumps in this pump station, and the vault project that this is specifically referring to is whenever you take a pump station offline, like to repair this leak in this elbow, we can't stop the flow. It's just going to keep coming. So we need to come up with a way to bypass the station. So we are asking for request of replacement funds to have a contractor come in and build us a vault that will be just outside of the station that we can set up a temporary pump that will pump directly on the wet well, right into the force main, kind of bypass the actual dry well and the pumps inside the pump station, which will give us the time to get in there. We can replace and repair the elbow, we can replace the pumps, we can change out the electrical in the station, and in the future, if we ever have any issues, we are going to have this vault set up and we'll be good to go. Jack had a great idea with this project. It started with us kind of researching the cost that it would take to have a company come in and set up a bypass pumping, and the cost came back a lot steeper than what we anticipated. So we went ahead and bought ourselves a bypass pump. So this past year, we bought a bypass, a 6-inch bypass pump capable of pumping 1.2, 1.5, almost 4. It is a very capable pump, and it's going to do everything and more that we need for this station. And not just sinking this money into one temporary fix, we're going to have this pump for any other avenue that we would need this capability throughout our system, whether it's our plant or any other pump station. We now own this asset that we can take it around to any other facility that we need to use it at. So that's one that's kind of near and dear to me, that we're really able to make a lot of improvements to this station. It's a 1956. 67. So yeah, it's very dated, very old station. So the upgrades we're making to it will buy us a long time into the future, being worry-free and maintenance-free on it. There's also 2 future pending capital projects, which is kind of revisit what Jack had talked about earlier, which is the retrofitting of our Lakeshore West out here in the front yard and our Dalton equalization tank. Back in 2018, we had worked with Verdantis and came up with the cost of that one. It was $4.6 million to do the retrofit for the cleaning mechanisms in this tank. And if, anything holds true, I'm sure that cost is significantly increased from then. So until we see a real need for it, I think that was just gonna kind of sit on the back burner for us. As always, the WPC staff and our engineers, they intend to pursue any grant funding that becomes available. I know that I have kind of been learning a lot of these processes through the last couple of years, and Mr. Lanning does a fantastic job when it comes to securing these grants. It's all based on a score, based on your community's needs and the size of the project and how much you're willing to pay, how much you're asking for your grant, and it comes back with a score for your grant application. And it's amazing to me that Tim can basically tell you what your score is going to be before you get it, based on his history and his ability to do that.
It's anyhow, right?
Yeah. It's quite astonishing, it's really. It's one of those things that as I learned, it was very intriguing, and it's awesome to me that we have the ability and the people, the knowledge to put us in these situations to be able to go out and secure these grants. It's only going to help us become a better facility without taking that burden directly to our regulators. Last one up here, although the 1986 expansion grant requiring the city commit to performing certain sewer rehabilitation projects and maintain plant design flow levels throughout their useful life of funded improvements, those have expired. It was a 30-year guarantee that when we got our 1986 expansion, that we maintain and upkeep our facility. The fact that we got grants and federal money for those projects, that has expired, but with the new grants that we have coming, be it from the Lakeshore East and any other grants we get, we know that it's just going to renew and continue that commitment that we have to maintain, and we're obligated to maintain our facilities for it as we move forward, which I don't see any change in that coming for us at all. So with that, do you have any questions?
I will throw one more thing on it that really didn't impress heavily in the annual report is that we have our permit renewal cycle every 5 years, and that's coming up this year. We have to apply 6 months ahead of time. Mike working on the application for that is just some background on it. I'm talking to the finance director, will be, since we have such a big project coming, it's going to take probably 2 years before we actually see debt service hit, which will probably be 2 years out. We'll probably cross over $1 million just debt service. And what we're going to have to decide with the EPA is like, give us a break. We need a 5-year period to digest, especially we didn't hit hard on the bypasses that we prevented. There's a huge amount of water that we have not, that has not entered the environment due to everything we've done already and the money we've spent already. And so that's going to be our approach with OEPA, is that, and give us time to see how this all works. We've got another project. We're thinking that at Lakeshore East, that we can shut all water from the Little East, north end, East Lake, north end, in there on high flow periods. And once again, get to a point where bypassing is at a very minimum. Obviously, there are always going to be events that, but we need to average 8. I've got on my old record, we had like 35 bypasses in a year. We did 0 last year. Or due to what all money we spent on all the things we've accomplished. So just wanted to give you an idea. That's what next year we'll be talking about, whatever we got out of the permit cycle. So we're going to dig in with the EPA and say 2 years to get this project done, and another 3 years to evaluate how all these things are working together. And then take the next cycle. So we'll be mine. Anyone else? Oh, and one last thing. So we located it, it's an okay to get a trailer. So let's we handed out like 40 arms with that. We're saving roughly $250,000 a year. Now that we've got the upfront costs out of the way, the updated 90,000. We offset it with another 8 to 10, from not having waste management hall stuff anymore.
Yep.
You know, and we even offset it even a little more, we don't have to get Ohio both the spots when we get hot roads. It makes sense. So we think, we're gonna move forward with that unless there's an objection.
Is that one thing that Jack's point about the permanent improvement? Because we talked about that. One of the things that Ohio EPA might then require is kind of like you have to throw bones on it. Like not just like studying the individual improvements, but basically updating your SSDS, which is not it's time consuming and complicated in and of itself, but it's a lot cheaper than $15 million project. So that might be one of the things to anticipate over the next few years, but it is only 14 years old, and usually it's a 20-year cycle on those, so it might be a little proactive in the next couple of years to expect that maybe an update of that is going to be not just expected, but required.
And those kind of function to us as a roadmap of where we need to move forward in making improvements in our system. So, to Tim's point, it's a time-consuming thing, and it does come at a cost, but it really does kind of favor for us making improvements to our facility, and putting it into perspective that a lot of these projects that we just talked about all originated from the 2011 SSDS.
And a lot of the projects we still haven't done in there, specifically, I think, with more localized sanitary sewer rehab projects, public source control, things of that nature. So maybe updating them is not only going to maybe eliminate some of those, but maybe help us focus on the really true bad areas that are maybe local streets that have problems. Now that Waverly, then maybe they have to lose a lot of cases on Willowwood Drive, and obviously Waverly itself, and then DQ bases as well, manage that as well. Just a food for thought.
What were you gonna say? I didn't catch what you said, the letters. SSDS?
Oh, SSDS, sanitary sewer evaluation study. There's a lot of names for it, master plan, SSDS, but.
You know, last one we did was in 2011. It's really been the roadmap for everything that we've done since then, even these tanks and stuff. We're all out of that. It was like a 4-year plan, I think they had.
Yeah.
It's got reduced sewers for decades out into it, but again, we could, when you go to do a 5-year permit, you're kind of negotiating with EPA what they want you to do and what they say you can do, sort of thing. And to Tim's point, is that was going to be one of our offer-ups, that maybe do a little SFDS study over that next 5-year period to see what. I think he did a little mini study up in the on Forest Drive and found that there was significant flow up there that we weren't aware of. You know, and they actually captured 2 rainfall events that were just along the north coast. They were like, why we're building a 1.4 million gallon tank up there. So.
And that SSDS study too is extremely important for legislators to know, state legislators, which why it was earmarked originally on the project. So it's a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, not only EPA or regulator don't just use it for the permit.
Right.
This is a funding goal. This is how we get OPWC grant, how we get no interest loans. It's for this way.
Is this done in-house, or are you bringing consultants in to?
It was really a good result. We performed the last one. But yeah, it requires extensive well monitoring, usually model updates, just financial planning, looking at rates, and then just looking at from a technical level, just using certain department records for water basement, and just kind of coming up with a cohesive plan that just makes sense from a financial and just actual reducing environmental issues.
And I can't remember, did you see what ballpark, something like that cost to do, or, I mean, just a guesstimate as to?
So, I'll say I have no idea. It's a big system, so it's, I don't know, $500,000 maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
In 2011, it was
certain aspects of it. And one of the biggest costs of that is the model development, which we should have some skeleton of that, the grip on the big cost there. But it's a flow monitoring. It's just, it's labor intensive, meters are expensive, time consuming, we have to do it for multiple months. That's just where the big cost comes from.
I'm just wondering, because of the benefit of it and for the environment, are there other grants for that study?
You can apply through, so like the WPCC, the DIFA, we apply for, they have both planning, design, and construction. We go into planning. So it'd be a low interest rate. I know that's the one for sure that you could apply for, partially or reverse, as much as you want to. You can occasionally apply grants, but it just depends. Unfortunately, it's actually bad actors that usually get grants for that. And the city street plan has actually done a good job, so bad because.
Jack, I have a question. We traded emails on this, but the flow splits for the year were slightly different from past years. Yeah, I think traditionally 60% flow to the plant for oil and 40.
There were 59, 41, 58. This year it was like 56. But when we look back at it, it was an interesting year because it was the rainfall data would indicate that it was near normal. But we had planned experience.
Jack, I'm sorry, speak closer to the microphone.
All right, 6 weeks of drought, and then we get a 2-inch rain, 3-inch rain, and that runs right off. But then we got a drought again. We were in drought conditions by May this year, and then we were so dry. We had August closed in May. And the whole year was kind of like that, dry, real wet, day or two, and then gone for another 4 weeks. So from some of the other rain events. So when we have like rain events that spike our flow, East Lake's the problem. All the water's coming from you. You guys are inflow, let me see, direct inflow. And Willoughby's because Willoughby's sewers are lower, water tables are higher. East Lake has more direct connections, so there's downspout, stuff like that. Low manholes and ditches and stuff like that. So on the heavy rainfall events, East Lake spikes up. This year we had a couple rain events that were significant. So they drag out for like 2-3 days. The rain event was quick, but the flow was up. And they were on the coast, the north coast, East Lake. We didn't even have Erie Road built to even get to 16 million to do anything. We're like looking for, because our guy set up looking at where the water's coming from. The wall of water that's coming didn't set up because it was just raining like crazy here, just along at the plant. And our rainfall data indicates that because we have a rain gauge in the plant, we actually came close to, we had an east side of an overflow this year. Not a bypass at the plant, but an east side of an overflow because that's right on the coast. And then a couple of those events, they actually got to monitor. There was another one usually close too, and they were coming down force, but all rain here. So that's what skewed the flow split. I was going to put together a bunch of data, but I started doing it, and I was going like, but it's not showing what happened. Because we don't have enough rain gauge. Yeah. So like everywhere saying it's a system rain gauge. Although there's an app now where everybody in their blower can jump on and put their rainfall data on it. I don't know what it's accurate. But you could register, if you look at it, you can see everybody what they said they got. And stuff, but, you know, technology.
I guess the finance director looked at change and split at 2% max and it was $60,000. I had no idea when I asked.
$60,000 swing.
$60,000.
You know, yeah, 60 swing.
So what would be that? 50%. And that's the biggest change we've seen in 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. That hasn't happened in a long time.
So bottom line, it's also clean water out of the tank.
Yeah, in the end, if the point of sale in East Lake should go after downspout. Direct, yeah, and just every time the house turns over, that's what Willoughby does, is, it'll probably take decades and decades, but eventually, every time you do a point of sale and you correct the problem, it's one less.
And we had discussed that about our ordinances,
research looking back, and they've happened in the past, but they're happening more often, so I'm not sure what's going on, where it's coming from, but you can start measuring it to see what you see. And go from there. Any other questions?
All right, I'd like to bring this meeting to order.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last year was actually Geraci